Willard Mitt Romney, born March 12, 1947, was a candidate for the God, Guns, and Gays Party nomination in the 2008 U.S. presidential election, and is running again, this time as the near-certain nominee, in 2012. He served as governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts from 2003 to 2007. One of Romney's claims to fame was saving the Salt Lake City Olympics from rampant corruption. However, he is probably most notable for his perfect hair. Many Republicans consider him to be a Reno. Romney is a man of deep conviction who holds fast to his principles unless it is convenient to abandon them, leading The Economist to characterize him as several vertebrae short of a backbone. What is certain is that Romney is consumed with a lust for power. Romney's membership in the Mormon Church has been an element of controversy in the run-up to both the 2008 and 2012 primaries. And his faith could be a substantial handicap to his candidacy, as 22% of Americans say they would not vote for a Mormon as president, though JFK was elected despite similar opposition to Catholicism at the time. The critical question for Romney and the Republican Party may boil down to that of what proportion of Republicans would prefer a comfortable chair in front of a television rather than go out and vote for a Mormon. He avoided the Vietnam draft for several years through studying and Mormon missionary work. As a political grandstander, he has been firm in pointing out that in the West, marriage has meant one man and one woman for over 2,000 years. Not just since 1890 when the Mormon church leaders caved before the U.S. government's seizure of all their property experienced a divine revelation and gave up polygamy. Despite being a Mormon, he has had fewer wives than Newt Gingrich, Ronald Reagan, or Rudolph Giuliani, being married to one woman, who is the only woman he has ever married. 2008, Romney attempted to woo social conservatives by running as a right-winger, a significant departure from the moderate positions which he held during his days in Massachusetts. He flip-flopped on abortion, gun control and a whole lot of other hot-button issues. His claim that he'd seen his father march with Martin Luther King, when it could be proved that both of them had been in different places at the time, earned him the coveted Pinocchio Award for truthfulness lying from the Washington Post. He also wanted to show everyone how tough he is by doubling the size of the Guantanamo Bay prison. Romney's 2008 campaign was surprisingly free of personal scandals and embarrassing revelations. The only notable mini-scandal it yielded involved one of Romney's senior aides, Director of Communications Jay Garrity, who took a peculiar approach to handling the press. He and a few other campaign workers dressed up as policemen and used fake badges to order reporters away from events and avoid highway tolls. Mitt Romney eventually suspended his campaign on February 7, 2008 after seeing his results in the Super Tuesday primaries, saying that him staying in the race would make it easier for Senator Clinton or Senator Barack Obama to win, and that his campaign would be a part of aiding surrender to terror. Whatever helps you sleep at night, Mitt. After that he endorsed John McCain on February 14, Valentine's Day, and supported him ever since. This must have impressed him, as Romney was said to be one of McCain's choices for a vice president, though God knows why. In a feeble attempt to compensate after a failed try for both the presidency and vice presidency, Romney and another also ran for the 2008 Republican presidential candidacy, decided to make trouble at the 2008 Democratic National Convention by creating an on-site war room to try and get media coverage by spewing his skewed nonsense about the Obama campaign. Like his bid for the presidency and vice presidency, this was not a success. Romney is taking another shot at the presidential election in 2012. But his record for truthfulness makes it hard to ascertain what he stands for or what he would do in office. Romney has a few hurdles to overcome. He's not very popular among his own party's base, and tends not to come across as the type of guy people like. That said, he is the frontrunner for the Republican nomination, most likely because many of the other candidates are were batshit crazy right-wingers who wouldn't stand a chance in the general election. Romney's drive to secure the nomination has not come cheap. He spent 4 times as much money per vote as Rick Santorum. He will need a lot more money if he is to defeat Barack Obama, who raises money well. both in smaller increments from a broad donor base and in large donations to so-called super PACs. Romney's campaign for the Republican nomination revealed the deep ideological fault lines in the party. Iowa Republicans were pretty much evenly split between Romney and Rick Santorum, although Santorum won a narrow victory after a recount. Despite the caliber of the opposition, the South Carolina's Bible Belt had little confidence in him, throwing their weight behind Newt Gingrich. Romney did well in Florida, a state whose panhandle is in the Bible Belt. However, a few hiccups aside, once Santorum pulled out, it became clear that Romney will secure the nomination. In effect, his faction, Finance Capital, will once again subordinate the other factions, Christian right and various other globules of bigotry. Mitt Romney has been facing harsh criticism for stating that nothing is more misguided and egregious than the Obama administration's federal health care overhaul. He then went on to state Obamacare is bad law constitutionally, bad policy, and it is bad for America's families, Romney said. The federal government isn't the answer for running health care any more than it's the answer for running Amtrak or the post office. This is because the Massachusetts healthcare overhaul he signed into law in 2006 served as a model for the federal law. And even the Democratic Party have thanked Romney on their website for the model he gave them. Romney proudly touts the law in his list of achievements, while refusing to acknowledge large similarities between the two laws. When pushed about how he stated it was unconstitutional at a federal level, he pleaded it was different because it's a state plan. Trying to help uninsured sick people get better is a serious weakness in the eyes of some Republicans, as The Onion notes. Romney is campaigning on a promise to cut public spending, eliminate some government departments and merge others. Romney has been cagey about exactly how he would enact budget cuts. He told private sponsors a bit about his plans when he had no idea reporters were listening in. What the reporters overheard led to speculation that education and public housing may be targeted for cuts should Romney win the election. Romney apparently is a politician, and as such, presents a strong principled position from time to time. The trouble is his principles change so much it becomes hard to tell what he stands for or will stand for in the future. The obvious redundancy of "restart all over again" aside, opponents Rick Santorum and Newt Gingrich jumped on this gaffe to show further how Romney's political views change with the wind. Romney later backtracked from his staffer's statement, saying his political positions would remain the same during the general election. The comparison also drew fire from pundit Rachel Maddow, who not only criticized Romney for his ever-changing positions but also remarked that Ohio Arts was now producing the Etch-a-Sketch in China at substandard wages even by Chinese standards, a move that had been previously decried by major purchaser Toys R Us, a company owned by Bain Capital which Romney co-founded.